Record. Okay, so this is the info session about Rheum to Thrive. Oh, and we have another person coming in. Danielle. Hi, welcome. I'm just going to make sure that Danielle can get connected to audio. So I'm going to be reviewing the Rheum to Thrive program. Welcome, Danielle. I'm just getting started, so don't worry, you didn't miss anything yet. And I am recording this, but if you would like to ask anything, off the record, or don't want to be recorded for any reason, confidentiality or just personal preference, you can just say, hey, can I ask something off the record? And I will oblige. All right. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm recording this for the people who aren't able to attend live, but I do have a little set of presentation slides, honestly, mostly to keep me on track, but also to help those of you who are visual learners. Oh, okay. And no problem if you have to leave early. If you do have to leave early and you have a question you really want me to answer, please feel free to drop it in the chat or you can raise your digital hand in Zoom. I can be sure to get to your question. I just try to give basic information first to kind of anchor the discussion and answer some of the FAQs. So you are in the right place if you have a rheumatic disease like RA or psoriatic arthritis or one of the other spondyloarthropathies, and you might be feeling a little confused or overwhelmed, or maybe feeling like you've been left on your own. I'm laughing because this is a dramatic reenactment of kind of how I felt, particularly in my first big flare-up after my diagnosis. So I am Cheryl Crow, not the singer, but the arthritis person. And I'm an occupational therapist. I've been living with rheumatoid arthritis for 20 years. Oh, here's my little beautiful light I just got. I'm excited. I have a warm light. And I created Arthritis Life and on my podcast to educate, empower, and inspire people who are living with primarily inflammatory forms of arthritis, again, like autoimmune or autoinflammatory types. And I've created Rheum to Thrive to provide even more like in-depth knowledge and structure. So that's what I'm going to tell you a little bit more about. And then we're going to have Q&A. So I already said that, yes, I've had RA now for 20 years. And I really honestly just consider myself a patient educator / like patient cheerleader at this point. Because that's kind of what I love doing the most, and helping people, almost like a tour guide for the experience of having a complex autoimmune condition like rheumatoid arthritis. So I created Rheum to Thrive because I just witnessed that too many people were left on their own and not given any additional information and support other than medications, which if you've listened to anything before that I've talked about, I'm part of my ethics as a patient educator is to be evidence-based and very, very aware of the benefits of medications. And I've been on heavy duty meds, maximum amount of methotrexate plus biologics for 20 years as well, except for my pregnancy. But point being, I'm not anti-meds at all. I just think that you need more than a 20-minute conversation about medicine every 3 months to manage the day-to-day of these conditions. So I hope that you can't relate to that, but I'm guessing that you probably can relate to that angst about like, why am I not given more information? So a lot of people who live with inflammatory arthritis are stressed. Let me know if you're stressed, if you have time to put it in the chat, or raise your digital hand if you have experienced stress. The biggest triggers for me have been kind of I see one person putting their thumbs up, the unknowns, how long is it going to take? Am I going to feel quote unquote normal again? What are of all the different lifestyle things to do, like exercise, nutrition, stress management, sleep, like where should I start? How do I explain this to friends and family? This is the one I really understood more, that it caused people real angst when I started becoming active on social media, worrying about your job, finances, dating, and there are a lot that we don't need to belabor these negative things or these difficulties, right? But there's a big learning curve. There's conflicting information everywhere at times. I do want to acknowledge explicitly that many people with autoimmune conditions in general and rheumatic disease specifically have experienced medical trauma from being either misdiagnosed or not believed. I certainly have had to unpack a lot of that in one-on-one therapy. I really, I'm a big fan of therapy because, yeah, that was a really, really difficult experience. I don't know if any of you had that too, where I felt really sick and I felt like I was kind of like, the analogy I use is it's like your house is on fire and you call the fire department and they come and they're like, no, it's not on fire. I was like, my body's on fire. And they're like, no, it's not. You're just anxious. It's like, what do I do? Like, who do I call if the people who have the power to diagnose me are saying that I'm not sick? It was very stressful. But what have I not even mentioned yet? Is there anything I've mentioned? Kind of the social factors, the uncertainties, the mental effects, maybe it might affect our job and our family, but I haven't actually mentioned the symptoms. Okay. But yes, we also have to deal with physical symptoms, different kinds of pain, fatigue, and the non-joint symptoms like heart, eye, or lung inflammation, as well as potential medication side effects. So you are not alone if this has been hard for you to cope with. I just give one quote from someone who I asked, what has been stressful for you about living with a rheumatic condition? And, this person said, I feel like very few people in my life have understanding. They don't think it's a big deal, especially if it has the word arthritis in the name. People will say, oh yeah, like my knees hurt too, or they'll try to scare you off from the medications and kind of invalidate your experience. So, this is actually not just anecdotal. There's actually, research in 2015 from the European League Against Rheumatism that concluded patients, expressed they had not received enough information. They had literally, this is direct quote from a research article, they had received insufficient information. Patients with inflammatory arthritis wanted to be recognized as more than their disease, to be enabled to use their own resources and re-engage in previously abandoned activities. I was like, this is like my call to action. Like, yes, I agree. Let's figure this out. This is actually not an unsolvable problem, right? It's just, we need to actually okay. Anyway, sorry, I'm on my soapbox. There needs to be more effort, systematic efforts to educate people in the tools that we do know can help move the needle. And then the tools that we do know move the needle on your quality of life and improve symptoms, and then also give you tools to cope with the unknowns and the uncertainties. There is a point where we can't control everything. I'm sorry to tell you that. I wish I was telling you that I had the magic answer for everything, but I don't. But I have a method for feeling more grounded, understanding what you can and can't control, and kind of living that serenity prayer. Like, give me the knowledge to understand. I always butcher this. I need to just write it out. The knowledge to control, or the energy, I guess I would say, for the inflammatory arthritis, the energy to control what I can, and the coping skills to cope with what I can't, and the wisdom to know the difference between what I can and can't control. So I kind of noticed this is the very, very simplistic depiction of what I noticed. This is what people are feeling, and then this is what I want them to feel, right? And that's my goal with the program. So for Rheum to Thrive, I want to teach you the symptom management, coping skills to live the best quality of life. And then with the 12-week support program, the goal is to the goal hopefully is to facilitate a community to support you and get you unstuck. So I'm going to slow down for just 1 second. So here's the nitty gritty information. So this is new for starting in the spring, 2023, that I have pre-recorded all the lectures for the core content of Rheum to Thrive. And that is now available as a self-paced course that you can just do on your own, learn what you want, learn what you need, go on your merry way. That's kind of like the people who are like, I want to figure this out on my own, that I need a little bit of guidance, but I don't necessarily want to sit in a support group for an hour every week for 3 months. That's just some people's preference. Previously, if you've gone to any of these info sessions before, or listened to me talk about the program, you would have heard me talk about how each meeting had a live lecture previous to 2023 a live lecture, and then a support group session. So everything was all bundled together. But the reason I changed it to be this way is that, one, some people's learning styles or their availability is such that they wanted to be able to do it on their own time. They want to be able to pause the lecture, right? You can tell I talk fast. So they want to be able to pause the lecture, re-listen to something, go through it in bits and pieces, especially if you're busy, go through 20 minutes here, 20 minutes there, and then have the full hour for the support. And so that's why now it's a self-paced course that you can do on your own, or you do the course plus the group support. So that is how it's structured now. And I have this pretty visual. I haven't actually shared this publicly yet. I'm going to, I guess probably tomorrow or Friday. I'm like, what day is it? Where this is an iteration of what I previously had made, but this is the roadmap for what we go through in the Rheum to Thrive curriculum. So we start with getting grounded, understanding what rheumatic diseases are. Then we go through tools for pain and fatigue, habits, relationships, mental health, values, executive functions, and then we finish. Okay, deep breath. So again, the support group involves 12 live meetings of 16 people or less in each group. Right now, there's two options. There's a Tuesday evening group / afternoon, depending on your time zone. And that has only 2 spots left as of right now. And then there's the Wednesday morning Pacific time, midday Eastern time, afternoon European times. And so that is the other option. Now, someone asked, well, I want ongoing support. I don't want only 12 weeks. So actually, I don't usually talk about this too much because it's like too much information. But after the 12 week, there's an option of joining an ongoing support group that's like an open-ended support from all the people. I call them the Thrive graduates, the people who've completed the initial program. So what's nice about that is that it sometimes in free for all support groups, it's like everyone's coming from different knowledge bases, but in this one, everyone kind of has already gotten that strong basis of support through the Rheum to Thrive program. So a quick delving into these, the units or the, curriculum. So I start by, in these pre-recorded lectures, teaching you, what are rheumatic diseases? What is a joint? What is inflammation? And some other tidbits for developing health literacy, which is the ability to make sense of health information. Then in Unit 2, I teach you the tools, evidence-based tools to prevent and reduce pain and fatigue. Spoiler alert, fatigue is much less well understood than pain. I'm sorry to inform you, and I'm sorry to know myself, because fatigue can be just as pesky and interfering with quality of life as pain. However, there are some things there's evidence for, and there's also kind of some general triggers to look out for and in your own life that I will teach you about. And then problem solving, like, okay, we know this information. How am I going to operationalize this and apply it to my daily life? And then I overview, what is the evidence for different nutrition paths for rheumatic disease, exercise, and sleep. Those are 3 lifestyle factors or helpful habits. I will say that this is not a program just about nutrition. So if there's usually some population that is either wants a full exercise program or a nutrition program. And I have great recommendations for those if that's the main thing that you want. This is more of this course, I try to touch on literally a very holistic, all the ways this might affect your life. Having a rheumatic disease, it's not a deep dive on just nutrition or exercise. So sleep is the forgotten lifestyle factor, but it can help a lot. And then we talk about relationships and social life. So how to explain your condition in a way that people may be more likely to understand. There's no guarantees. Some people do not want to understand, apparently, or do not have the ability to understand. And then we talk about romantic relationships, friendships, family. And there wasn't a good place for work accommodations and work tips and tricks. That goes in this section. So just FYI. Then inner world. This is my favorite one. Spoiler alert. This is talking about stress management, mindfulness, acceptance, and commitment therapy. I'm giving you kind of, again, a smorgasbord or an orientation to all the different tools that you might want to put in your coping toolbox. acceptance and commitment therapy and mindfulness have been the most important for me, but I want to teach you the other ones that have been helpful for other people as well, because we're all different. So the goal in this unit is to create your own coping toolbox. And then this is really, really fun. We talk about values and valued activities. So finding joy, still being able to participate in what you love to the extent possible. Now it can be complicated, right? Some things you may not be able to do. You may have a restriction on your activity due to a deformity or a pain issue. And in that situation, we might need to say, okay, we might need to look at an alternative. Maybe we can't do rock climbing right now with the way our disease is, but maybe we can do dancing. We'll figure out like the just right way to still quote unquote scratch that same itch, or as close as we can possibly get. And also grieve together. And if you're in the group, grieve the way that your condition has affected your ability to participate in valued activities and hobbies, because it can be really hard to have to let go of some of the things you used to enjoy, or just not be able to do them as well as you used to. That's like me with sports. I used to be very athletic. I still am probably more athletic than the average person, but I can't participate in the way I used to. That part of that's getting older too, right? But the last two units are executive functions, which is basically the job skills of the job of managing a chronic illness. Oh, Danielle, yes. Is it okay to already be crying? It's always, always, always okay to cry. And actually there's a great book I love by Nora McInerney called Nora Mackin. I never know how to spell her name. It's okay to laugh. Crying is cool too, which is about like her emotional roller coaster after her dad and her husband died in the same year. And she has all these amazing insights from that. But so if you're crying because of relief or joy, that's okay. And if you're crying because of sadness, that's okay too. And that's actually been probably one of the most important things. I'll just stop sharing for a second. For me is like giving myself permission to feel my feelings. I feel like, I don't know if anyone else is like this, but for the longest time, I feel like I tried to force myself to just be happy all the time, or feel like, well, you don't really have any reason to not be happy. Like, yes, you have this chronic illness, but you're doing pretty well. If someone else has it worse, you shouldn't feel bad. And actually, it was really honestly only when I went to like one-on-one therapy that I was like, wait, this professional person who like sees people all day, every day is telling me that like I have permission to feel my feelings. I mean, I hate to say I needed that external validation, but that is what I needed. I needed someone else to say, and hopefully I can be that for people in the group to say, yeah, it's okay. Yeah. Yes, this is not a life sentence. It's not like Lou Gehrig's disease where it's like, you have 2 or 3 years to live, like you're going to die. This is a huge thing. It's not as serious in terms of life-threatening as that, but it's also not nothing. It's a big, these inflammatory arthritis conditions have a big effect on your life. And so I like the definition of suffering from Viktor Frankl, who wrote Man's Search for Meaning. He says suffering is like a gas. It fills whatever container that it's in fully, right? So yes, someone might have a huger container, someone has a smaller container, but they're both full, right? So in this section, I give you like logistical tools. And honestly, these are the tasks I personally find annoying as a chronic illness patient. Make like tracking symptoms, tracking your medical records. It's tedious. Some people are really good at it and they love, like, I like when I'm done with it, I like having things organized. I just find it annoying to have to go through that process. So that's okay. But it is the reason I do it is it's in your best interest to be like, I'm in charge of my care. No one else is doing this for you. Unfortunately, I wish I had like a fairy godmother who was organizing everything for me, but I don't. Maybe if you do, that's awesome. And then, also some tips on making difficult medical decisions. And then unit 8 is actually really short. It's just kind of trying to synthesize everything, come back to that 20,000 foot view and say, okay, the goal of Rheum to Thrive is figuring out how to thrive with a rheumatic disease or inflammatory arthritis. So, tips for still doing that, tips for having self-compassion and patience with yourself when it's hard, and, that's kind of what we kind of try to focus on at the end. So here's some testimonials. Again, I don't want to belabor it too much, but it has been really wonderful. I've been doing this for 3 years now. And I've changed the name. I'm sorry for those of you who've been around for a while. They're like, what is it called now? Because I've called it different things, but just I've made all positive changes, hopefully. But, you know, Suzanne last year said, you know, Rheum, or I guess a year and a half ago now, Rheum to Thrive is what I had been craving since my diagnosis. You know, I got some tools, tips, and good info for living well in a close community atmosphere. So that was helpful. And, you know, it is, we always have in the groups a really nice mix. Like one of the FAQs people ask me is like, well, what if like I'm not newly diagnosed. I've had this for 10 years or 15 years or 5 years. And I actually really like having a mixed group, mixed experiences. Some people will have been diagnosed a month ago. Some people will have had the disease for 15 years. And that's nice because, you know, like Erin said in this case, she was hesitant to join a group because she already had a good grasp of caring for her disease. But the first thing to say is that most people, even if you know the tips and tricks or the tools for your pain and fatigue toolbox, most people haven't like deeply delved into the mental health tools or the social, you know, social relational tools or the values and valued activities. I kind of more see like most people with these conditions, understandably so, like hyperfixate on like, how can I make my pain better? How can I make my fatigue better? And forget to kind of recalibrate their life around it in a way that's kind of like more satisfying on all levels of your life, not just symptom management. But so she said that, you know, she also found the strong sense of community really helpful. And there's always like the newly diagnosed people always bring a fresh perspective, or maybe their doctors are giving them like the most latest and greatest, you know, tips and tricks. And then the more senior diagnosed people will share, you know, like, oh yeah, like that happened to me too, or give people, you know, give people that kind of cheerleading, let's say. And there's always somebody who's like, I can't give myself an injection. Like, I'm so scared. And we'll say, okay, you know, you can do it. I felt the same way. You're not alone. And, so this is what Cheryl had to say. The program offered compassion, validation, and encouragement. So, oh, sorry. She said she was anonymous. Sorry, but she ended up talking about it publicly later. But anyway, okay. So FAQs, just a few of these, and then I will open it up, I promise. But so the self-paced course alone is $197 USD or 4 payments of $49. And then the course plus support group is $397, which is $50 off if you pay up front, or $74.50 for 6 monthly payments. And I do offer discounts as need-based discounts. You don't have to like prove anything. You just tell me that you need it, and I will give you a discount coupon code. And then the spring meetings, like I mentioned, I'm sorry if I said 4, it's 4:30 LA time, 7:30 Eastern time, starting next week, like literally 6 days from now. And then the Wednesday group is morning, 9:30 Pacific, 12:30 Eastern, starting a week from today. Yes. And you know, if you email me at info@myarthritislife.net, I can send you the sliding scale payment, because I do recognize a lot of people have a lot of health expenses right now. And, you know, some of the frequently asked questions, people say, well, isn't a support group just kind of like depressing or full of complaining? And really, there is no one size fit all support group, right? But they all differ depending on how they're structured and who's facilitating. So in Rheum to Thrive, I do try to have a good, healthy balance between let's share positive things we can do to improve our quality of life, but also hold space to validate each other and process the difficulties, because I don't want to just force like positive thinking. That's not helpful either. It's important to give space for people to process the negative things alongside with saying, okay, this really sucks that I went through this. And, you know, let's validate that, give you some self-compassion, and then what's still possible in your life. You know, that's kind of one of the biggest kind of mental shifts for me, has been saying, okay, this is the hand of cards I've been dealt. What can I do? Do you have to talk or share your story? And if you want to join the support group, absolutely not. Some people don't even, I've had a few people that like only attended 1 or 2 of the meetings live, but they watched all the replays and they just felt really supported by that. Most people do attend, but you might be, you know, putting yourself on mute or putting your video, turning your video off. That's totally fine. And you can always, like I said earlier, speak off the record in the meetings. They are recorded as a default so that the people who aren't there live are able to watch them later. And then another FAQ, I kind of answered this earlier, but is Rheum to Thrive the best fit for everyone's needs? No, nothing is the best fit for everyone's needs because everyone's needs are different. But so if you are looking for a program to heal or cure your condition, that is not the focus of this program. I do teach you methods to improve your symptoms, reduce pain, reduce fatigue, improve your social relationships. But this is not meant to say, oh, I have the secret solution. You need to hack the vagus nerve, or you need to do XYZ, do this diet to cure or heal your condition. I don't find those, for me personally, have been helpful expectations. I think if you do find a way to heal your condition, you should consider yourself fortunate, because statistically it is not very likely, given, but again, it doesn't matter if 99% of people don't do well on something and you're in the 1%, doesn't matter to you, right? You're probably like, okay, great, I did great on this, so this does help me. So that's what a little bit of the tricky thing about some of the claims to cure or heal. But there is no known cure for rheumatoid arthritis, ankylosing spondylitis, or psoriatic arthritis at the moment. So that is what my course, and program really operates from, the assumption that, okay, let's assume there's not going to be a cure in our lifetime. What can we still do to thrive? What can we do to manage our condition the best possible? And if you don't believe that any sort of mindset changes or daily living changes are going to make a difference, or you believe for sure you're going to feel badly no matter what you do, I wouldn't recommend a program like this, because this program, the effectiveness of the program is predicated on your mind being open to the possibility that you do have some control over what your symptoms are, and you also have control over how you respond to the uncontrollable factors. Sorry, that was like very meta. But if you are in a place and there's people who are really hurt, and if you're in a state of major depression where you really feel like nothing is going to help, that is something that I think I would recommend that you consider one-on-one, individual therapy with a qualified mental health practitioner, like a psychologist or a psychiatrist, someone to help you get out of that deeply stuck area, because it's hard. I don't judge anyone who feels that way. I just don't think, if your mind isn't open to change being possible, then a program like this is not a good use of your time. It would be better to get out of that deep depression first. And of course, it's not the best fit for you if you don't want to be in a group. I'm very extroverted and I'm very group oriented. So I try to remember that not everyone is as social as I am. So if you want one-on-one support, I can recommend, maybe some people who do that, or like occupational therapists, stuff like that. So how do you know if it's a good fit? Is if you have one of these conditions and you want to learn how to manage it through lifestyle choices, stress management, coping tools, social connection, and want to feel more empowered and believe that there are things you can do to improve your quality of life. So where do you sign up? That is the link. I will put that in the chat as well. And now we can move on to questions. Okay. Whew, that was a mouthful. Does anyone have any questions? Or just need to catch your breath?
Just a quick comment.
Yes.
First of all, my laptop right now does not work on Zoom, but I do have one that does.
Oh,
and so
okay.
that's what I'd be using for the meetings. So basically what happened with me, Cheryl, was I didn't have the money to do it, but it looks like my copay assistance program is being done in such a way that the insurance company is not trying to claw back the money. So I would like to do the group, but I would want to ask for kind of a small discount.
Yeah.
Just to make sure that I can skate under that amount.
But that makes sense.
And that's one of the things I wanted to talk about in group 2, is trying to figure out, they're doing something new. I think they're trying to keep the insurance companies out of our copay assistance. Because I'm seeing something really interesting. But so that's what I was interested in, and just make sure I know I've got several flagged emails from you but it
Yes.
always helps when you send me another one.
Oh my
Uh,
gosh, me too. No, yeah, I totally get it. Yeah.
but
So, okay.
I am group familiar. I've been doing groups for a long time, so
Oh, good.
they're good for me. But my other thing was just here in the spring. It's the only time I've got temperate weather. But I think I can handle this because I'm looking at it's an hour a week, right? For the meeting.
Yes. Yep.
Do they run over an hour?
It, I have been known to run over. Yeah. But we get through everything that's most important in that hour. But sometimes we'll go like 15 minutes over.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, I'm getting your email out so that I can, make sure to follow up with you. Awesome. Yeah, I'm curious to know more about the copay assistance, how that relates to. I've only ever used copay assistance for my medications. So,
Yeah, I used it for my my shots, and the money has been the insurances I've had before, the money has been clawed back. And I just thought I had to always deal with that. In fact, I was quoted in the ankylosing spondylitis leaflet from SAA has, hey, I'm having to pursue copay assistance, but the insurance company takes the money. So I'm working for the insurance company. So, but they've basically restarted my deductible whenever I use copay assistance. It's called a copay accumulator program.
oh, right. I have heard about those, but I have to admit I'm not really an expert in them, but
Well, what the specialty pharmacy told me was she says that they contact after they apply the first copay assistance, which is like, I think a couple of hundred. She says, then they turn around and they have to call the manufacturer, and the manufacturer pays the rest of your copay with a debit card.
oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
Yeah. Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
done differently, but it's never been done that way for me before.
Yeah,
So,
it was like that I'm on Xeljanz now. It's not that way for Xeljanz, but for me right now, it is different state to state, but it was like that. I had a special debit card for Remicade when I was on that. And I believe Enbrel as well. It was so long ago now that I can't remember exactly, but yeah,
but
it's
I've had
interesting.
this is the first time it's just never been clawed back by insurance. And so I sign on to my insurance website every single day. But it's been a while now and they don't appear to be clawing it back.
When you say clawing back, you mean like denying it?
Basically what they would do is it was really kind of cruel, but like 3 or 4 years ago, they would apply it to your deductible and you would get your copay assistance, and it would
Oh,
show
okay.
you had met your deductible, and then it would just a few days later it would revert back to you had not met your deductible.
I see. Yeah, because they know they don't want you to like quote unquote double dip or whatnot in their
No,
minds.
but the insurance company is.
But yeah, I know. Well, yeah, they're allowed to do whatever they want. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, yeah. I know. I literally was just thinking, you have those deep thoughts in the car, when I was driving home from taking my son to school today, I was like, you know what? I used to be an optimistic person. No, I still am. But I was like, I really feel like dealing with insurance companies has really changed my view on human nature at times. And I mean, I feel conflicted saying that, but I don't think it's ethical how they've made record profits over the pandemic, and they constantly are denying people with rheumatic diseases medications just to line their pockets. It's just, if I'm wrong, let me know. I'm open to being wrong, but I'm just like, this is disgusting. The
It is.
profit should not be driving medical decisions. So it frustrates me. Yeah. And I used to just be like, people want to do the right thing, but now I'm like, no, they don't care. As long as they get money, they don't care about people suffer, or I should say that all of them don't care, but the people making the major decisions they care a lot about, let's put it this way, they just care a lot about money. Healthcare is expensive. So, yeah, advocacy is something we talk about in the executive functioning section too, that, figuring out how to advocate for yourself in the context of your medical appointments, and also in the larger sense of advocating for your treatment plan. And a lot of people don't know that if your insurance company denies you, you can appeal that, denial, and you have recourse. And rheumatologists, by and large, are very aware of all the issues in the United States with insurance companies making decisions based on their bottom line, not on patient care. Hold on a second. I got a cough for a second. That was so weird. That happens to me every once in a while. Literally, there's nothing in my throat. It's like my throat thought that there was something in there. Does that ever happen to anyone else? I don't know what's wrong. I probably just talked too much. My vocal cords are like seizing up. Any other questions? Oh, Danielle, it happens to you too. Okay. I know that it can, I don't know if I have Sjogren's or not actually, but Sjogren's syndrome or Sjogren's disease is a condition that can cause systemic symptoms, including joint pain and dryness of all your moisture producing glands, like your eyes and your mouth, dry mouth, dry eyes, dry everything, internal organs too. So I wonder sometimes if I have Sjogren's. I did ask my rheumatologist and she's like, well, we wouldn't really change your treatment plan, but I think I might get tested for it just out of curiosity. Because it does, things like that. They seem like they're not really RA related. However, rheumatoid arthritis, just FYI, can cause inflammation in this tiny little joint in your throat called the cricoarytenoid joint. FYI. Yeah. Who knew there was a joint in the throat? Kind of makes sense because swallowing involves like movement and joints help you move. But anyway, anything else? Sorry. Trying to think of any other. Oh, I should go on my own site and look at my other FAQs just in case anyone's listening and they have a question. My own like page here. Does it, so this, so it's called Rheum to Thrive with the RHEUM because it's really designed for rheumatic diseases, which are diseases of like the joints and musculoskeletal system, primarily inflammatory arthritis, but, psoriatic arthritis, ankylosing spondylitis, non-radiographic axial spondyloarthritis, lupus, other rheumatic diseases, in addition to rheumatoid arthritis. So it's not just rheumatoid arthritis. There are, I would say 75% of the content applies to any chronic invisible illness, because especially like the inner world, mental health, coping skills, relationships, valued activities, and executive function units. So there are people who've taken the program who do not have an inflammatory arthritis diagnosis, but they have fibromyalgia or Ehlers-Danlos syndrome or mixed connective tissue disease or myofascial pain syndrome, and they have found it helpful. Or Crohn's disease or irritable bowel disease can cause joint pain in addition. It's just that in addition to the systemic symptoms, it's just that the tools for pain and tools for fatigue, the research I'm drawing from and the evidence I'm giving it are from the inflammatory arthritis umbrella. Okay. Oh, and then when is the next group going to be? So I have been running groups over the summer, the last 3 years, but this year I'm taking the summer off, except I am still meeting with the graduates, the people who it's right now just one group of whoever wants to continue meeting. And that's $37 a month, by the way, just so you know, it's a less cost for the monthly ongoing meetings, just to keep it kind of in the more affordable range. And, so I'm not going to do another of the 12-week Rheum to Thrive until the fall. So September is how I define the fall. So hopefully I'm hoping to be able to, like, it's gotten, it's started off, my groups were like 6 people or 8 people, and I would only do one at a time. And then kind of got to more to 12, 15. And when I got closer to 20, I'm like, okay, let me break it into 2. We'll have 2 groups. And, at a certain point, I'm going to need to train other facilitators so that I can offer more times, times that work for people in different time zones. And so, I'm hoping to be able to do that but right now it's all me. So that's good and bad. It's good if you like me. It's not good if you are me and you get sick. And then what if I want a refund or wish to cancel? You are welcome to request a refund at any time. I'm just reading this now from my website. Within the first 30 days of the program. I mean, honestly, if people want a refund later, I just give it to them. This is all just me running this. And I'll just ask you to provide feedback so I can learn and continue to make it the best it can be. The only time that's happened so far, just being 100% transparent, because I do, like I said earlier, I try to be really clear on like what it is and what it isn't. So I don't want people to be confused. And I didn't mean to be, I'm not against alternative or complementary therapies. I'm just telling you that that's not the focus of this. I'm not like healing your digestive tract. I'm telling you, yes, that there's this evidence that these certain, Mediterranean diet is evidence-based for helping reduce pain and inflammation with rheumatoid arthritis. And, I'll tell you what the research is, but I'm not like systematically teaching you a protocol, like there's people who do like the AIP, but there have been people who've had to cancel the program just due to personal injury or illness, or kind of what I end up doing is saying, hey, do you want to rejoin later? Just join the next group because you've got too much going on right now. Or one person left in the last group because they felt like the meetings were too much of the meetings were me teaching this stuff, which they wanted more the whole meeting to be the support group, which actually, so then I offered them, why don't you come? I'm actually changing. This is like perfect feedback because that's literally why I'm changing it. I've already decided to change it, but anyway, so that person is coming or invited to join one of the groups for this section. But otherwise, people have been happy. I think it's a self-selected population. So anything else? I'm happy to end early, just out of respect for everyone's time. I'm curious where you're all from, by the way. I'm in the Seattle area. I know Chris is on the phone. I think he's on the East Coast. Sorry to eat. I just went to the gluten-free bakery before here. Georgia. In Houston. Okay, we got some South. Okay, nice. The Arthritis Foundation headquarters are in Atlanta, Georgia. So fun fact, and Houston has the most medical providers per capita of any city in the United States. So you have a lot of options in Houston, and you have RA and ankylosing spondylitis. Okay, that's a lot. Yeah. I didn't know until I delved into it further that you could have both. It's not super common, but it's possible. So I'm sorry you have to deal with both, because anytime you have multiple conditions, or they're called usually like comorbidities, then you start playing the game of like, well, okay, I'm in pain. Is it this condition? Is it that condition? Ping ponging, not sure. Yeah. Okay. Mom was RA, dad was AS. Wow. Yeah, that's a lot. I didn't even know until I got my full medical record, actually, that my initial diagnosis was like, they thought it was rheumatoid arthritis, but they said rule out ankylosing spondylitis. And I was like, interesting. Because all my symptoms were peripheral, but you can have peripheral spondyloarthritis. But anyway, so much lingo. So don't worry, there's so much lingo and acronyms, terms. I do cover those in the first unit. So. Okay, so Danielle, I have an email drafted to you with info. I will it's just follow up. That's all the words that are in there right now, but I'm going to send you this now. But if there's nothing else, I'll let you all go. But thank you for coming. And I will I'm going to upload this to like a private YouTube link, and I'll send everyone a link. Yeah, thank you for coming. And if you have any other questions, my email, I should put it in the chat again, but is info@myarthritislife.net. All right, bye-bye for now.